Ethan wiped sweat from his forehead as he crouched over the control panel. The interstellar research station orbited a pale blue star, its metal corridors humming with the energy of 1,000 experiments. He was human, one of the few engineers trusted to maintain the station's teleportation testing array. His job was precise, careful work. One wrong calculation could send a valuable alien specimen into the wrong sector, or worse, erase it entirely. He had been working for hours, tracing teleportation signals from the last test subject, a small robotic probe. The probe's movements were predictable, precise, but it lacked the unpredictability of living beings. Ethan sighed. He had hoped for a quiet shift, yet in his gut, he knew that quiet never lasted long on a station filled with aliens, scientists, and unpredictable technology. A sudden flash of light filled the lab. Ethan barely had time to react before he felt a weight on his chest. The next moment he realized a figure was lying on top of him. His eyes widened as he looked up. A young, beautiful alien woman hovered awkwardly in midair above him, her large, curious eyes blinking rapidly as if she were trying to understand where she had landed. I'm sorry, she said in a melodic voice, her accent unfamiliar but understandable. I didn't mean to. Ethan scrambled backward, helping her to her feet. Her skin shimmered faintly under the lab lights, a pale hue that shifted with her movements. Her clothes were simple but elegant, designed for mobility rather than decoration. What are you? Ethan stammered. How did you get here? I'm Lyra, she said. I'm a teleporter. I was trying to escape, and I think I miscalculated. She looked embarrassed, almost childlike in her sincerity. Ethan couldn't help but notice the way her presence seemed to fill the room. A strange mixture of danger and innocence. Ethan quickly realized he had a problem. If the station security found her before he understood her abilities, it could end badly for both of them. Lyra, I think you should come with me, he said. We need to figure out where you came from and why you're here. She nodded, but just as they were about to move toward the nearest exit, another flash of light erupted in the room. Ethan barely had time to shield his eyes before Lyra was back in his arms, almost collapsing on him. This time he managed not to fall over, but he could feel the full weight of her panic pressing against him. Teleporting again? He asked, trying not to sound frustrated. Do you always land on me? Lyra looked sheepish. It's hard to control. I'm not used to doing it under pressure. Ethan blinked. Under pressure? What kind of pressure? She hesitated. There are people, dangerous people. They want to use my abilities for their own purposes. I was trying to get away. Her voice dropped almost a whisper. I didn't expect to end up here. Ethan frowned. He had read about teleporters in scientific journals, but he had never encountered a living one. Humans had always been cautious about interacting with alien species who could manipulate space in such ways. But here she was, vulnerable and confused, and somehow, in spite of herself, she had landed repeatedly in his arms. Okay, Ethan said. We need a plan. We can't just sit here. If they track you, we'll be in trouble too. Lyra's eyes widened. You want to help me? Ethan shrugged. I don't know if I can stop them, but I can make sure you're not captured right now. They moved quickly down the corridors, Ethan holding a handheld device designed to track teleportation energy. Lyra's flashes of light occasionally threatened to send them through walls, but Ethan's steady hand and quick thinking kept them on course. Each time she teleported unexpectedly, she ended up close to him again, sometimes landing on him, sometimes almost knocking him into machinery. Ethan found himself laughing despite the tension. You really are unpredictable, he said. I'm trying, Lyra admitted. It's not easy to teleport precisely under stress. The station was vast, a network of corridors, labs, and observation decks. Ethan led her through the less populated sections, hoping to stay out of sight. They paused near a maintenance shaft, catching their breath. Tell me about these people chasing you, Ethan said, peering around the corner. They are rogue scientists, Lyra said. They want to use my teleportation to control space travel for their own profit. They don't care about me, only about what I can do. I escaped, but they're persistent. They won't stop until they get me. Ethan's mind raced. Humans had a reputation in the galaxy for ingenuity, adaptability, and courage, even in the face of far stronger species. He wondered if he could find a way to help her using only his knowledge and equipment. Do you think we can make it to the shuttle bay? He asked. Lyra looked uncertain. Possibly. But I can't control where I land. You'll have to be ready. As they moved, alarms suddenly blared through the station. Red lights flashed, warning of an unauthorized teleportation event. The rogue scientists had tracked Lyra's energy signature. Ethan grabbed her hand. "We have to move now," he shouted. They sprinted through the corridors. Every time Lyra tried to teleport to escape, she landed on Ethan again, almost tripping him. The combination of fear, urgency, and physical closeness created a strange bond between them, one that neither had expected. Finally, they reached the shuttle bay. Ethan activated a maintenance lift and they rode it down to the hangar level. Lyra was panting, her hands trembling slightly. "I don't know if I can make it alone," she admitted. "You won't have to," Ethan said. He glanced at the shuttle, a small craft capable of reaching nearby planets. "We'll figure this out together." Before they could board, a group of armed figures appeared at the far end of the hangar. They were humanoid but heavily armored, carrying devices that could interfere with teleportation. Lyra's eyes widened in fear. "We can't fight them head-on," Ethan said quickly. He scanned the environment, looking for anything that could give them an advantage. His eyes settled on a maintenance corridor that ran along the side of the hangar. "We can use that. Follow me and don't teleport until I say." Lyra nodded, trusting him. They moved silently, ducking behind crates and machinery. Ethan set up a temporary signal jammer with his portable device, hoping to confuse their pursuers. Lyra glanced at him, impressed. "You're human?" she said, her voice a mix of disbelief and admiration. Ethan shrugged. "Brains, not brawn. We humans have a way of surviving." Suddenly, a bright flash occurred. Lyra teleported, this time landing on Ethan's shoulder. He stumbled but managed to stay upright. She looked down at him apologetically. I'm still learning," she said. "You're fine," Ethan said, laughing despite the danger. "Just try not to crush me next time." Using a combination of clever misdirection and quick thinking, Ethan led Lyra to the shuttle. The rogue scientists were close behind, but the humans' unpredictability worked in their favor. In a blur of lights and sound, Lyra teleported again, almost perfectly this time, and they launched the shuttle into the station's outer hangar bay. As they sped away from the station, Ethan glanced at Lyra. She was breathing heavily, her hair slightly disheveled from the sudden movements and teleports. Her eyes met his, a mixture of relief and amusement. "You're better than I expected," she said softly. "You're easier than I thought to keep up with," Ethan replied, smiling. He realized that despite the chaos, despite the danger, he had never felt more alive. Helping her was reckless, maybe even foolish, but it felt right. The shuttle entered the outer space corridor, leaving the station behind. Lyra leaned back, finally relaxed, though still nervous. "Where do we go now?" she asked. Ethan activated the navigation system. "Somewhere they won't find us easily. We'll figure out a plan. We'll teach you to control your teleportation, and maybe we'll learn a lot from each other along the way." Lyra smiled faintly, a glimmer of hope returning to her eyes. "I think I'd like that," she said. As the shuttle drifted toward a remote, uncharted planet, both of them knew their adventure was only beginning. Danger was not over, but together human ingenuity and alien power had survived the first trial. And despite the unpredictability, despite the chaos, they both secretly hoped that every time she teleported, she might just land right on top of him again. Ethan piloted the shuttle carefully, keeping it steady as they approached the surface of the remote planet. The planet was rugged and covered in jagged mountains and dense forests, a perfect place to hide. Lyra leaned against the console, catching her breath, her skin still shimmering faintly from the energy of her previous teleportations. "I've never been here before," she admitted, looking out the window at the alien terrain. "It feels empty, safe. But I don't know if it really is." Ethan nodded. Humans had always learned to adapt to unknown environments, but he could feel her tension. He knew that being hunted, even by strangers from another world, could wear anyone down quickly. "We'll be safe for a while. I can find a good place for us to set up. We'll have time to plan our next move." Lyra's eyes softened. "Thank you." "Ethan, I don't know what I would have done without you back there." He smiled, brushing off the praise. "Humans are stubborn, and sometimes we have to help others even if it gets us in trouble." They landed the shuttle on a flat plateau near the edge of a forest. Ethan jumped out first, inspecting the terrain. The planet's atmosphere was breathable, and the gravity was slightly lower than Earth's, which made movement feel effortless. He looked back at Lyra, who had teleported out moments after him, landing directly on his shoulder this time. She giggled nervously. "You really do like landing on me, don't you?" he said, laughing. It's hard to control sometimes," she admitted. "I promise I'm trying." They moved into the forest cautiously, scouting for a place to set up a temporary camp. Ethan found a clearing surrounded by large rocks and thick trees that could provide cover from aerial scans. As he started to unpack equipment from the shuttle, Lyra's gaze wandered, taking in the alien flora. "This planet. It's strange," she murmured. "The plants seem alive in a different way. They're almost aware of us." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Aware? Like sentient?" Lyra shrugged. "Maybe not sentient, but sensitive. They react to movement, light, even sound. I feel it. It's calming." "In a way." Ethan nodded, intrigued. Humans had a long history of adapting to new worlds, and he had studied many ecosystems. But Lyra's perspective was unique. She had powers that transcended human experience, and her understanding of the world around them seemed to be instinctive rather than learned. As night fell, the forest glowed softly with bioluminescent plants. Ethan set up a small energy shield around their camp to hide their presence from sensors, while Lyra practiced controlling her teleportation in short bursts. Every time she appeared, she tried to land precisely, but her momentum often caused her to land on or near Ethan, creating awkward but funny moments. "Careful," Ethan warned as she teleported directly on top of him again, nearly knocking him over. "I'm trying," Lyra exclaimed, laughing despite herself. "It's not easy." "You're making progress," Ethan said, smiling. "Humans adapt, aliens adapt. Together we can figure this out." They spent hours refining her teleportation skills, Ethan using his engineering tools to help her predict landing points and stabilize her jumps. Slowly, Lyra began to teleport with more control, landing safely beside Ethan most of the time. Each successful attempt strengthened their trust and bond, and they shared stories of their lives, discovering similarities despite coming from completely different worlds. Ethan learned that Lyra's people valued freedom and exploration, while humans often valued invention and survival. Yet both species had courage, resilience, and a desire to protect what mattered most. As dawn approached, they noticed a strange energy signature on Ethan's portable scanner. The rogue scientists had tracked them again. Ethan's heart sank, but Lyra's eyes sharpened with determination. "They've found us," she said. "We can't fight them head-on." "Not yet, but maybe. We can use this to our advantage." Ethan nodded. "Humans had a history of turning disadvantages into strategies. We'll need a trap, something that uses your abilities and the environment." They spent the morning setting up decoys, energy sensors, and remote-triggered devices designed to confuse and slow their pursuers. Lyra's teleportation would allow them to strike unpredictably, but only if she could maintain control. Ethan explained the plan step by step, and she nodded, absorbing every detail. When the rogue scientists arrived, they were met with a confusing maze of energy traps and false signals. Lyra teleported unpredictably, sometimes landing on Ethan's shoulders or near him, sometimes darting ahead to strike a device. Ethan's quick thinking and understanding of the alien terrain allowed them to anticipate each move of the attackers. One of the rogue scientists activated a powerful pulse to interfere with teleportation, causing Lyra to lose control. She stumbled, her energy flaring unpredictably. Ethan grabbed her arm just in time to prevent her from crashing into a tree at high speed. "Focus," he said firmly. "You can do this. Trust yourself, and trust me." Lyra took a deep breath, letting Ethan's confidence guide her. She concentrated, visualizing each jump, and slowly her teleportation stabilized. She moved like lightning, striking devices and evading attacks, while Ethan directed her movements and blocked threats with the shuttle's energy shield. By the afternoon, the rogue scientists were exhausted and disoriented. Ethan and Lyra had turned the forest into a maze, using her powers and human strategy in perfect combination. Finally, the attackers realized they were outmatched and retreated, leaving Ethan and Lyra victorious. They collapsed in the clearing, laughing and breathing heavily. Lyra looked at Ethan, gratitude and admiration shining in her eyes. "I couldn't have done this without you," she said softly. Ethan smiled, brushing dirt from his hands. "Humans have a reputation for cleverness," he said. "But you're incredible. Together we make a good team." Lyra laughed, a light musical sound that echoed through the forest. She teleported gently onto Ethan's feet this time, not knocking him over. "I think I'm getting better," she said. "You're more than getting better," Ethan said. "You're amazing. And don't worry, I don't mind being landed on." "Not at all." As evening fell, they built a small campfire sharing stories of human and alien cultures. Ethan learned about Lyra's childhood, her training, and the challenges of mastering teleportation. Lyra learned about Earth, human inventions, and Ethan's experiences traveling between stations in the galaxy. They discovered that despite their differences, they shared curiosity, courage, and a sense of humor. Night deepened, and the forest around them seemed alive with faint movements. Lyra's instincts told her the planet itself was aware of them, sensing their presence and responding with subtle light and energy shifts. Ethan marveled at the way she understood it instinctively, realizing that humans could learn from aliens just as much as aliens could learn from humans. Days passed. Ethan and Lyra trained together, explored the surrounding landscape, and developed strategies to evade any future pursuers. Lyra's teleportation grew precise, almost elegant, while Ethan's inventions and understanding of alien technology became sharper. Together, they represented a rare combination: human ingenuity and alien power. One evening, as they watched the sun set over the jagged mountains, Lyra leaned against Ethan, her energy field softly shimmering. I feel safe here," she said quietly. Ethan smiled, placing a protective hand on her shoulder. "You are safe. As long as we're together, we can handle whatever comes next." Lyra looked up at him, eyes reflecting the alien sunset. "I didn't expect to meet someone like you, someone I could trust, someone I care about." Ethan chuckled softly. "Humans have a saying. When things are hard, you find the people who matter. I guess the galaxy just made sure we met." She smiled, and in that moment the danger, the fear, and the uncertainty of the past days seemed to fade. They were alive, victorious, and ready for whatever came next. Lyra teleported again, this time landing beside him perfectly. "We make a good team," she said. Ethan nodded, watching the stars appear in the night sky. "The best team, humans and aliens, together, nothing can stop us." And as they sat in the clearing surrounded by the alien forest, both realized that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders alike, but together they could face anything. Every flash of light, every unexpected landing, every challenge would bring them closer. And they knew, deep down, that the bond formed in these moments of chaos and laughter was something neither would ever forget.